Why do millions of people buy the same phone every year, even though it barely changes? Why do people wait in line for hours for a product they already own? And how did a tech company turn a phone into a personality? This is Apple's mind game. To understand Apple's power, you have to go back to the 1980s. Computers were boring, beige, corporate, cold, and Apple looked at the industry and said, "We're not selling machines. We're selling identity." Steve Jobs didn't talk about specs. He talked about beliefs. He didn't ask, "Do you want a computer?" He asked, "Do you want to challenge the status quo?" The famous slogan, "Think different." That wasn't a marketing line. That was a personality template. If you used Apple, you weren't just using a product. You were joining a tribe of creatives, dreamers, rebels, people who saw themselves as more than ordinary. And that was just the beginning. Selling a feeling. When Apple launched the iPod, other MP3 players were better. More storage, more features, better battery. But Apple didn't say 1 gigabyte storage capacity. Apple said 1,000 songs in your pocket. That's not a feature, that's an emotion. The iPod was never about music. It was about, I feel cool. I feel unique. I am stylish. Apple wasn't selling a device. Apple was selling identity in product form. iPhone, the ultimate status symbol. When the first iPhone released in 2007, every phone could call and text. Some phones even had better cameras. But Apple understood one thing. People don't buy technology. People buy meaning. Owning an iPhone didn't say, "I have a phone." It said, "I have taste." It said, "I care about design." It said, "I belong to a certain class." And slowly, the iPhone became a status symbol, a luxury item, a lifestyle badge. That's why when a new iPhone releases, even if the upgrade is tiny, people still buy it. Because they're not upgrading their phone, they're upgrading their identity. The real strategy you weren't supposed to notice here is Apple's secret. 1. Scarcity psychology. Apple intentionally limits customization. Few models, few colors, minimal choice. Why? Because too many choices weakens identity. Owning something rare feels special. 2. Clean. Minimalist design equals social proof. When people see your phone in public, they instantly recognize it's Apple. That is free advertising. Your product is now the billboard. 3. The ecosystem trap. Apple products are designed to depend on each other. iPhone Aero, Mac Aero, iCloud Aero, AirPods Aero, Apple Watch. Once you buy one, you're locked in emotionally and financially. Switching feels painful, not because of tech, but because it feels like losing your identity. 4. The cult of belonging. Apple stores don't look like stores. They look like temples. White, minimal, silent. Every Apple launch event is a ritual. Every keynote is a sermon. Steve Jobs wasn't a CEO. He was a brand prophet. And the customers aren't consumers. They're believers. What this means for branding. This is the real lesson. People don't buy products. They buy stories about themselves. Apple doesn't say, "Buy our phone." Apple says, "Become the kind of person who uses this phone." That's why Apple doesn't compete on specs. Because specs don't create loyalty. Identity does, emotion does, belonging does. You don't defend a phone brand like this, you defend a part of yourself. So remember this, Apple didn't win by selling tech. Apple won by selling self-expression, by selling confidence, by selling freedom, by selling identity. Products will be copied, tech will be matched. But identity is forever. If you want to build a brand people love, don't sell features, don't sell benefits, sell meaning, sell story, sell who they become after buying it. Because brands don't sell products, brands sell feelings.